המושיע ויעשה משיח הנגמרי ויהיה המושיע ויעשה משיח הנגמרי.
On July 9th, Rabbi Reuven Bauman, a Rebbe from Norfolk, Virginia, was swept out to sea while trying to save 2 boys. What followed was a remarkable, full mobilization of Klal Yisrael. Jews did everything, from saying volumes of Tehillim, using rescue helicopters and jet skis, to find a lost brother who tragically disappeared into the vast ocean. The sea stretched out vast and deep, but Klal Yisrael's heart was more immense and even deeper. From Rockland County, Lakewood, New York, Baltimore, Silver Spring and Savannah, rescue and chesed organizations, plus individual Jews brought whatever they had to help in the rescue effort and taught the world the meaning of Achdus. This is who we really are. At the deepest level, we are all connected. We are all one family. It's in times of tragedy that the spark of Ahavas Yisrael inside us bursts forth into a great flame. That blaze of Achdus and love is on the surface of our hearts. If only we can learn to fan this flame so that it permeates our very being and becomes our essence. It'll be at that time that Hashem will see that we are indeed ready to return home.
This year's topic is V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, that you have to love your friend kamocha, like yourself, as you love yourself. Is that too demanding for us? The mitzvah V'ahavta l'recha kamocha means kamocha, like you yourself. When a person starts to think about somebody else, think about yourself. What do you need? Then you'll know what your friend needs. Because everything that you need, your friend also needs. Especially friendship, togetherness. We are together. So we have to think, how can we make ourselves part of our friends, part of the Klal Yisrael, part of one another? When we begin to think about it, what can we do? The first thing is to stop speaking lashon hara about somebody else. We should see only the good in a friend. She's good enough in our chaverim, because they are actually good. And what we find is that if you care for somebody else, you are more zohar, lashon hara, you're more zohar the way you speak to somebody else. Respect to one another. This is something v'ahavta l'recha kamocha. And I think whatever we can do for somebody else is what we can care about. Whatever he needs, you should help him with. A bracha is that today's event that we are together and thinking about one another should bring Klal Yisrael together. And we will be together, Rabbi Shalom will send Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Kova.
Just as there are times of joy, there are times of sadness. In our eyes, have become darkened, have become dim. The Sforim tell us that the 2 months of Tammuz and Av correspond to the 2 eyes. But somehow, in our present state, our eyes are damaged. And that in these months, Hashem Baruch wants us to repair our eyes. And because of the 2 eyes being damaged, Eini Yardamai, my eye is flowing with tears. Eini Yardamai. The Jewish eyes are flowing with tears. And Hashem Baruch is telling us to think back of when did we begin to cry? When did the crying start? Eini Yardamai. So what is it that happened to our eyes? It goes back to the first Tisha B'Av. The first Tisha B'Av, the Meraglim came back, and they said something that they claimed to have seen with their eyes. And yet Chazal tell us, Amru b'fiyem ma shelo ro'u b'eineihem. They said with their mouths something that they didn't truly see with their eyes. And because of that, even though most of Eicha is in the Seder of Aleph Beis, Eicha Yoshva Badad, Bachei Sivke, Gal Yehuda, is in the order of Aleph Beis. But when you look at Perek Beis, Perek Gimel, Perek Daled, the Ayin and the Pei, the Psukim with the Ayin and Pei are reversed. The Ayin is supposed to come before the Pei. The letter Ayin, which means the eye, comes before the letter Pei, which is the mouth. Because Hashem Baruch wants us to see each other, to see Him, and to look at life in a real and an honest way. With an ayin tov, in a good way. With eyes that are filled with compassion. What happened with the Meraglim that led to the crying of all generations and of Tisha B'Av was Omru b'fiyem ma shelo ro'u b'eineihem. The Pei came before the eye. The mouth said things that the eye didn't truly see. And as a result of that, Eini Yardamai. Our eyes are flowing with tears. To understand what this means and where this comes from. Because Sof Kol Sof, Eini Hashem al Tzadikim. We were given the eyes of the righteous. And yet we see that Chazal tell us in the Zohar Kodesh that the Jewish people in Golos are called an Olimta Shapirta, a beautiful young woman, but Leis La Ayin, without eyes. Everybody here knows that there are unresolved dilemmas in the Gemara that are called Teiku. And Teiku, we have a Kabbalah that Teiku means Tishbi, Yataris, Kushis, Rabbi. They were waiting for Elionovi to resolve these questions, these dilemmas. Teiku. There's a remarkable teaching in Likutei Moharan where there Rabbi Nachman says what Teiku really means. Because it's not just about a Gemara that we don't understand. There are so many people in our lives that we've misinterpreted. The same way the Meraglim misinterpreted Eretz Yisrael, and Omru b'fiyem ma shelo ro'u b'eineihem, they said something that wasn't real. They saw things with an ayin ra, not an ayin tov. So you and I have in life many, many takers. Every day I'm meeting with children who don't understand their parents. The truth is that the parents adore their children. Parents make mistakes. But the child doesn't see the parents' love, he sees the mistakes. You have two friends that they were together through so many things in life. And each one, be'emes, in the deepest way, loves the other. But something happened, and as a result of a misunderstanding, because 99.999% of the time it's a misunderstanding, and as a result of the misunderstanding, there's a takeover. Reuven doesn't understand Shimon, and Reuven is filled with a strong kasha on Shimon. How could Shimon have done this to me? How could Shimon have said this to me? How could it be that at Shimon's chasna that he put me at the table with my second cousin who I haven't spoken to in 45 years? Now, all of these takeovers, which are mostly narishka, all of these questions that we have on each other, these kashas that we have, we're begging Hashem to send Eliyahu Tishbi Yitaris Kushis Kabayis, because these kashas in life, these takeovers have brought the kinos upon us. We were saying things with our mouths that are not the truth that we really are seeing with our eyes. We're not seeing people in a deeper way. We're not seeing our wives, our children, for who they really are. And as a result of that, we have these kashas. And instead of tikkun, we have kinos. So who's Eliyahu? There's a ma'aseh from the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. Now, the Baal Shem Tov, as you all know, was orphaned as a child. And the way that it was in those days is that you didn't have regular yeshivas, maizes, buildings. If you were a wealthy child, and you had parents who could afford, you were sent to a Rabbi in a cheder that was a cheder that was in a finer place. And the Rebbe was perhaps somebody that was a bigger Talmud Chacham. But if you were a poor child, and especially if you were Lo Aleinu or Yosem, an orphan, so you would end up in a broken house. And the Malamed was also very often a broken person. And the Baal Shem Tov had an exalted soul. And it hurt him in the deepest way to be in such a cheder. Because when he went into this cheder, he saw a Rebbe who was angry, a Rebbe who was depressed. He saw a wife that was bitter. He saw children that weren't taken care of. And the Baal Shem Tov was so sensitive he couldn't bear to see this. So one day the Baal Shem Tov actually couldn't bring himself to go to cheder. And he went, as he would often go, off into the woods. He went into the woods. The Baal Shem Tov was crying. He didn't have parents. He couldn't bear going back to cheder. He didn't know what to do. And he was crying under a tree for a long time. And all of a sudden, the Baal Shem Tov said that all of a sudden there was a person who came there and said, Sruluk. He called him by his name. The Baal Shem Tov didn't know who he was. And he said, Sruluk, I want to give you a bracha that you should have eyes to see. You should have eyes to see. The Baal Shem Tov said, Amen. He didn't know who that person was. Afterwards, the Baal Shem Tov said that he understood it was Eliyahu. And then something amazing happened. The Baal Shem Tov said that he had to go back to cheder. So he went back to cheder. And for the first time, when he looked at his Rabbi, who always seemed to him to be so angry and miserable, for the first time he saw that his Rabbi was really a tzaddik. He saw that his Rabbi was a great, great and holy person, but his Rabbi was broken by the shame of poverty, by not providing for his family. And because of that, on the outside he appeared to be angry, and so on. He saw the Malamed's wife, and that really she's a beautiful, wonderful, kind soul. But because of the circumstances of her galus, that ulimta shapirta, that attractive and wonderful person, had become broken. And he saw that the children were good children. And the Baal Shem Tov said that the greatest bracha that he ever received was that bracha of Eliyahu, who gave him the bracha to have eyes to see. All we're davening for, Chaim, wherever you are in the world, my brothers and my sisters, all we're davening for today, every single second, is v'sechazena einenu v'shuvcha l'tzion v'rachim. Rabbi Shalom, I'm begging you, help me to repair my eyes. keep me from falling into the mistake that brought the Eini Yodam Ma'im, the tears of Tisha B'Av into the world. Help me to see in a real way, with Rachmanis, because we believe, that in order for us to have, for you, in order for us to be worthy of your Rachmanis. What is Rachmanis? Rachmanis on a deeper level means empathy. It means to see the world through someone else's eyes, to be able to enter into that Malamed's head, to be able to enter into my children's hearts and their minds, to be able to enter into my parents' hearts and minds, my husband, my wife, and to see the world in such a way. And then I would be filled with love for each and every one of them. Because then I would be able to have the eyes of the tzaddikim, the eyes of the Baal Shem Tov, the eyes of Eliyahu Navi. Let me end and tell you a story that I heard. It's a story that I actually heard from an old Litvish Yid, a very noble and regal person. His name was Rabbi Yonah. I don't want to say his last name. I heard this around 32, 33 years ago, when I was learning in a kollel from a Chaim in Queens in the afternoon. And it was Chanukah, and we were getting ready to go to light candles. And Rabbi Yonah gathered around the Ingalite, and he said, I want to tell you something, a story. And we were very excited to hear anything we could from him. He was well into his 90s, and he had memories that went way back. He wasn't a Talmud Chacham, he wasn't a Lamdan, he was a Yedei Sefer, but a real Ehrlich Litvish Yid, a real thing. And he said the following. He said, when I was a young man, my father desperately wanted me to go learn in a big yeshiva. Because that, of course, was the dream of those Jews who lived in Lita, that I should be a Talmud Chacham. The truth is, I wasn't particularly sharp. I didn't see myself being a Talmud Chacham. So what my father did was that he hired, we were very poor, he paid his last kopek he gave to hire a Talmud Chacham in our village to learn with me a sugya in the Gemara, to prepare for a faher, for a test, to go to the yeshiva. And I would be faher in the yeshiva. I really didn't know much else anywhere in the Gemara, but this one sugya the Talmud Chacham taught me, and I reviewed it and reviewed it and reviewed it and memorized. It's a Rambam and a Raivad, it's a Ran, it's a Tosfos, a Ritva, and I prepared this piece of Torah. And then my father sent me on my way. There was only enough money to get me to the next village, and then I had to walk. It took me 3 weeks to get to Grodno. And who was the Rosh Yeshiva in Grodno? Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon Shkop, Zechat Tzad B'Kosh Levocha, my Rebbe's Rebbe. Reb Shimon was the Rosh Yeshiva in Grodno. And he said, I really didn't want to be accepted to the yeshiva, but I had no choice but to try. My father spent so much money. So I get to the village, I get to Grodno, and I ask a Jew, where does Reb Shimon live? And they pointed to where Reb Shimon lives, and I went there, and I was davening, please, maybe Reb Shimon is not home. Because you weren't allowed to go anywhere to sleep. You first had to be tested. That was the rule. So I went and I knocked on the door, and a mazel, Reb Shimon himself came to the door. Not the Rebbetzin, it was Reb Shimon. It turns out the Rebbetzin was away at a simcha. Reb Shimon asked, who are you? And I said, my name is Binyamin from this and this state. And the Rosh Yeshiva, Reb Shimon, said, yeah, Binyamin, I've been waiting for you. So here I was, with the greatest Rosh Yeshiva in the world, and I've been preparing for the whole year to say a shtickle Torah for the Rosh Yeshiva. And I'm standing there, I was tired and frightened and starving. And then all of a sudden, before I began my shtickle Torah, the Rosh Yeshiva said, Binyamin, I have 2 kashas for you. And I wanted to cry, because that's not how we play this game. I don't know anything. He didn't say, he said, I don't know anything. I know this one piece of Gemara that I was taught with a couple of Rishonim to say over some Torah, but I don't know anything else. And I'm not going to be able to answer any other questions in the world. And I wanted to cry and run away. And Reb Shimon looked at me with the most compassionate eyes, and he said, Binyamin, tell me, the Ashta Kashi is my first question is, when was the last time you had a warm meal? Or the zweite kasha is, the second kasha is, when was the last time you slept in a warm bed? He said, we'll talk and learning next week. He said, Reb Shimon put on an apron and made supper for me and put me to bed like a child. He said, Kriya Shema with me. And then Rabbi Yoma turned to us, the younger light, and he said, and if you want to know why I'm still a Jew, after all I went through with my wife being killed, my children killed, and everything that I had in Siberia, all the sorrows that he went through, I don't remember anymore the shiurim from Reb Shimon. Of the zwei kashas, zwei kashas. I remember the two kashas from Reb Shimon. See, Rabbi say, compassion, ahavas Yisrael, means that we have questions. We ask questions, not the takers, but we ask those questions. When was the last time you had a warm meal? When was the last time you slept in a good bed? What's hurting you? What is it that I could do for you? Hashem's Baruch should help us, that we should be zeicher for that time. Of einenu sirena malchusacha. Of esecha zene einenu b'shuv chulutzim rachman. That if we have rachmanis, and if we look at the world with eyes that are real, that are deep, and we try to give an honest report, a real and honest report, not to come back with false reports of other Jews and to say things that are not real, that Hashem's Baruch will finally bring us to that time when He'll take each and every one of us, like Eli Navi talked about Shabbat HaKadosh, and we're going to go back into a world where we'll see the beauty of all that exists. We'll see the beauty of our children, of our friends, of our husband, of a wife. And Hashem's Baruch, who has always seen the beauty in each and every one of us, will bring us to the Beis HaMikdash, to the Gula Shel HaMikdash, Amen.